Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is having a good week so far. So this is more of like a opinion and kind of like a maybe like a community like mental health kind of video. So the name of this guy is called High Yield Derangement Syndrome, and this is just like my opinion. I've noticed like sometimes in the comment section of like different social media platforms, like people are getting just really feisty and punchy in general. I don't know if it's because of like upcoming election, and then also like a combination of like the economy for some folks is kind of not so great, and of course like in general like I've noticed lately just like the high yield kind of like the like other YouTubers and other social media influencers, things are kind of it's definitely much different like when the like like the Defiance ETFs, like the zero DTE ones, when they first came out. I felt like people were like really excited in a more positive way, and now it's kind of, well, it's not so positive, and I kind of just want to maybe like just talk things out and kind of just like express my thoughts, because I think that might be helpful. Of course, if you think I'm just blabbing, feel free to, don't, you don't have to waste your time on this. So I feel like the high yield space attracts a lot of fanatics and haters, like kind of like the same time, and I think just like this, the simple answer is just humans are gonna human. We're kind of just like tribal by nature. We haven't really got away from that. So that's just part of the issue. And just for like as a matter of disclosure, I still have some high yield exposure. I've cut some, just like earlier in the year I got stopped out, and then I also sold off some just preemptively just to kind of like raise up some cash, because I think like maybe in like around like later in this month and maybe in October, there might be a down move, but I'll get to that in a second. So I think like right now, I think the fanatics are defending the high yield space to the death, and even sometimes like people deny like there's like NAV erosion, and I would just say like I don't think it's necessary to bury your head in the sand. Um, like even forgetting about like the high yield ETFs, just like ETFs and stocks in general. Look, there's gonna be like times when stocks go down and your investment's not gonna perform well, and that's just the nature of the thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just this is whatever. And the good news is not it's not across the board. I would say like for those that think like these things don't have any, they don't exist at all. I would just say like just like read the prospectus. Like I'm just using triple QY as an example here because it was a pretty popular fund. But there's always a chance like it happened. Like if you go through like the prospectus, I know it's boring, but like look, they split that up like black and white. NAV erosion risk due to distributions, and then when the fund makes a distribution, the fund's net asset value will typically drop by the amount of the distribution on the released ex-dividend date. So they tell you up front, and you say like the repeated payment of distributions by the fund, if any, may significantly erode the fund's NAV. And of course, like you have to be careful with the language. You say may, it doesn't. It's again, it's not all high yield ETFs. Like some are more, depending on how many shares are issued. Some are well balanced, and some, unfortunately, I guess like they people are just like crowding in at some points, at like the wrong times, and unfortunately it happens. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. You just have to kind of like wait for things to kind of like settle down a bit. And then also like a lot of like influencers, like they have a much bigger like starting point. So some already started at like six figures. Like for example, like it's not that unusual for like if someone with like a high income profession, let's say like you're like a surgeon or like a in demand IT person, or like maybe someone from Wall Street. They probably saved up like 500K from savings, inheritance, or maybe they had like a other business, etc. So even if you take like 500K and you put it into something like SPY T, not a recommendation, of course. I'm just using this as an example. So that's 20%. That's 100K a year. Now 100,000 a year isn't like the what it used to be, but it's still I think it's still a pretty decent salary for some folks, depending where you live. But also like for those folks, I wouldn't say like don't get cocky or complacent. I think when people like make like obscene profits like quickly, they sometimes like forget what it's like to kind of struggle, and then eventually like markets humble them, and I can just tell you from personal experience. Sometimes when you get your head in the clouds and you don't pay attention, eventually you're gonna stumble. And just to kind of like as a reminder, we had like a minor pullback in April, and then we recently had in August kind of like a almost a correction, but we haven't had like a serious one just yet. So this is just like my own wishful thinking. I'm thinking like around September to October, we might get like a 10 to 19% down move, just because like a lot of like folks are back in the office, like maybe hedge funds. Like there's always like that joke that people from like the Wall Streeters, they're back from the Hamptons, like around this time, and it's back to school, so like people are more concentrated, more focused on like their on their funds. So we might see like people just like cleaning house. So you might see some bargains like pop up here and there, and then also like during like these serious down moves, some of the weak hands could get flushed away, and of course like that includes me too. Like I have some stop orders already in place, so if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. But that'll free up some cash, and then depending on what looks like a good deal, like I'll swoop them up. So, and then kind of just to kind of address like the other side, like I think like this is just like just from some of the comments I've seen, uh, for like the haters of like the high yield ETFs. Some of them, it's not all, of course. Like they're coming from like cranky rich boomers. Like they're kind of like the get off my lawn types, and I'm probably heading down that road myself. And they likely have like a conservative larger portfolio just because like they have more years like working and saving from either their jobs or their business. So and it's most likely they have like a traditional like a retirement setup, so they have like probably mostly like fixed income and kind of like the traditional like dividend yields. So let's say like they were able to accumulate like $2 million over the life of their of working and saving. Again, this is not a recommendation. It's just like using this as an example. If they put 2 million at 5% in a money market fund, that's also like 100K. So you have to think of it from like their perspective too. So let's say like you're 65 and up, you're making 100K a year in your retirement, but then you see like these young guys like also making like this like the same amount from like the high yield fund. So of course like you have to expect like that some people will be jealous. And I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. It's just like a matter of perspective. And then there's also like sometimes I see like I think they're joking, but who knows nowadays? Like you see, like they're like these haters. They think like it's like the end of the world, and they're these high yield ETFs like they cause cancer, and they spread all types of like ridiculous lies. And I don't think that's fair either. Of course, there are some high yield ETFs that haven't performed up to expectations. Some of them are bums, but again, it's not all. Like you have to kind of just like look through the data and do some analysis and do some homework and just like being practical. I think some people are just like buying above fair value, and of course, like eventually when things cool down, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm losing money with these things. These things suck. I hate them." So like for example, like early in the year when MSTY, that was like one of the like the golden childs, but now it's kind of like settled back to earth. So if you're unfortunate to like buy like say like when it was like around like $40 or like $38 or something, so of course you're not going to be feeling like too happy. But again, like don't rush into things. I would say. And then there's also like another part where and this is more for like the Zoomers, and maybe like the younger millennials. Like right now, like you might be struggling. Maybe you just got out of like school and you have like you're saddled with like a lot of debt, and maybe you're like your first job, like like the pay sucks. Like that happened to me too when I was younger, but eventually do get bad, do get better. So right now, like you have a lot of like angry, frustrated young investors that are just like starting out, and of course, like you have a like a smaller balance to start out, but that's like normal. Eventually, if you kind of like keep at it, you're gonna eventually reach like 100K, and then eventually you'll reach 200K and 500K, etc. But it does take time and it does take effort. And right now, like I don't blame you guys for feeling like the system is rigged and etc. etc. Because we have to look back at their point of view too. Because like there's so many scams that happen like over the years. So let's say like you're maybe like a older millennial. You probably remember like Occupy Wall Street. You remember like all the DeFi scams that happened in like 2021, and of course like right now there's all types of like online scams and hacks and NFTs and all this kind of like nonsense that cause people to lose a lot of money. So they may have gotten off to like a bad or unlucky start. And that could also happen with like, the high yield ETFs too. Like remember when Triple QY when it first came out, like it was really exciting. It was like the first zero DTE, and at the time like it was paying out legitimately like these like crazy high distributions. But over time like competition is gonna come in, and then people are start to realize like there's other options, and then also like just the fact that there's more entrance in the space, both from like the external ETF providers, and then sometimes some of the ETF managers like they haven't performed as well as they would have hoped, and then sometimes like volatility collapses at like the wrong times too. So you have to keep those things in mind. Like um, you know, poop happens unfortunately, but again, things won't be bad forever. I think once people realize like which uh, you know the once they get tired of getting burned by like scammy financial opportunities, um, like you'll be better prepared for like the next time. And then I just want to say like in general, like you just want to keep your mind sharp and kind of like low stress as possible. This way you can take advantage of like opportunities that pop up later down the road. And then you also have to keep in mind like the incentives of certain influencers. You have to, they're people too. Like some people need that revenue. And then whatever like course fees that they may be offering, or like sponsorships to kind of like feed their family. So I can understand, but I don't have to like it. They like it's like any other type of marketing. They need to like make it kind of like salacious, kind of clickbaity, and then even sometimes like you'll notice even in my videos, like I'm starting to get like these like those nested scam comments. So obviously like most of you are pretty smart, like especially my subscribers, like that these are scams, so like just ignore them. And I try to delete them whenever I can. I would say that just like in general, there doesn't seem to be much of like a bro code online. I'm kind of older, so like I'm kind of old school. So like sometimes when I see like a younger dude that might need like some help, and I'm talking like in real life here, like just recently, I was visiting New York City, and there was like a dude on the train that needed help with his tie, and like there was all these like folks on the train, but like I guess like nobody went to help this guy out. So and we were just like chatting. I was just showing him how to do like a basic tie. It turns out like this guy was on an interview, and hopefully this person was able to get the job. I'm kind of babbling here, but I'm just saying like I guess like sometimes people that are in a position to help, they don't always help. And I think like my channel is a little bit weird and it's a little different because I'm trying not to like oversell things, and at the same time I also like it might seem like I'm negative on some aspects, but I'm just trying to point out like there's some things that might trip you up when you're investing, especially with like these option-based ETFs. And sometimes like online, like it seems like everything is like a hustle. So you've noticed like those that stuck with me for like a while. You've noticed like I haven't really I don't have any affiliate links. The only thing I have is like the puny ad revenue. But that that's just me. That's just like a because I'm a small channel. I don't expect to be popular. I'm just doing this just to just kind of like warn people about certain things, and then also kind of like share information that I think might be interesting to folks. And then sometimes like in other channels, I think people do like the bare minimum just to kind of like get clicks and stuff. But I think it's important not to concentrate on like the price action and also the amount of money that you're making in, because that doesn't tell you like the full story. I think it's important to also incorporate like non-price data also. So like in case I'm not around, it's also I'm sure if some of you do this already too, but it's also important to keep to kind of look at like the volume, the time, and of course like with the option based ETFs, like it's also important to look at the volatility levels over time as well. And I think people like forget history or haven't learned at all. It wasn't that long ago when like around 2022 when we had like a kind of like a next nasty like tech wreck, and we might see that again with some of the AI stocks that went to the moon. So for example, like SMCI, like recently, it's been taking a beating. So that might happen again. And just to look as a warning, I know some people like to use margin, and at certain times, I think it's helpful, especially if you need to like catch up. But you also have to keep in mind like yields won't continue to be this good forever, especially as more and more of like these like the competition starts heating up. Like if I guess like eventually when the themes ETFs like finally come online, like I think that'll really hurt like some of the pre-existing ETF companies, and then also like the yield boost I'm kind of iffy about, but because they're leveraged, so like just be careful of that. So there's no need to add leverage on top of leverage. So it's I don't want people to kind of like think like as a profit mercenary. So if you have like some decent profits like now, maybe consider taking like part of it off just in case, and this way you can have like some cash available. And then like kind of like to end things like a more positive note, like I from time to time I like to keep the slide updated for like different high yield ETFs. So it's good to kind of look at like your own brokerage firm to see if like they let you borrow against some of them. Like so for example like Tesla right now, you can still borrow, although it's been lowered to like you can only borrow up to like 50%, and then like the inverse ETFs so far they haven't been eligible. But of course, like you have to keep on checking just to see to see if like maybe you need like some extra cash for like living expenses, but make sure to pay it back as soon as you can. And then also it's a good way to kind of gauge like the market sentiment, like as to where things might head. So this is just like I know this might have been like a little bit longer than I wanted it to, and thank you for watching all the way through. But keep in mind, this is just my opinion. Just like the takeaway is just like please keep on top of your investments and your hedges. So as always, thank you for liking and subscribing to these videos. Thank you for watching, and hope to have like more analysis coming up. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.